No, I'm not going to stop.
Hello, you gorgeous lot, and a warm welcome. This is the 10 o'clock news from the EV Café, brought to you this week by EV Civil Solutions, groundworks that make moles look a little bit lazy. And I'm John Curtis, and today I'm joined by our special reporters, Paul and Sam in the UK and Sarah in Austria, with Johnny Berry even. 5 of us, the Magnificent 5 right again. Oh, yes. Now then, sit back, grab a cuppa and plug in for the latest in clean transport and sustainability news. Cheers and up yours. Anyway, we'll look at stories today, including Sarah Sloman in Cox's shortlist. Some headlines just write themselves. Vans need charging plans. EVs are a gateway drug to clean tech. Swarco deliver Swarco deliver battery Second Life partnership. And JCB, just dig hydrogen. Stories that we could have covered include the reaction to the widening of the ultra-low emission zone in London and the introduction of low-traffic neighbourhoods in London, Bristol and Oxford to promote walking and cycling and reduce traffic impacts, with 100 million of government money being spent to roll them out across the UK, neither of which seems to have caught the public mood. Bit of a pushback there. Anyway, maybe more on those next week. Anywho, top story is the Barbara Cox Woman of the Year Award 2023 shortlist has been revealed, and you may recognise a name or two. The award recognises inspirational female leaders in the automotive industry. I noticed one of them has gone off camera. 6 inspiring women were selected by a judging panel, which included previous winners Caroline Burnell and Lorna McAteer. More than 50 entrants were received, with nominations representing women operating in all aspects of the automotive industry, including fleet management, manufacturing, retail, publishing, consultancy, and technology solutions. And the shortlist are Mariam Aslan-Degger, Commercial Director at the Rhino Group, Erin Baker, Editorial Director at Auto Trader, Kate Rubery-Schumack, Head of People and Communication at Rigor Commercials, Dal Dosanjh, Head of Marketing Communications at Epix, Kate Howden, Head of HR for eStar Truck and Van, and the one, the only Sarah Sloman, Chief Strategy Officer at Paythrough and Director of the EV Café.
Nice to hear that Paula Kirby didn't make the list.
Sarah, you must be absolutely beside yourself.
No, but I am. I actually am. I was on a slope yesterday or day before when I got the news, and it's one of those things that reminds you of teamwork, because it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for you guys. So I'm just really touched and really grateful. Thank you
Just
so much.
not true. So true. Just not true. Sarah, we love you very much. And I know that there are people who watch this broadcast who were kind enough to support by sending in application or sending in nominations for you because of how much we value you. So very, very well done on getting onto the shortlist. The winner will be announced at Cox Automotive's Women's with Drive event on International Women's Day, March the 8th, 2023. In the interests of journalistic objectivity, every woman shortlisted is wished well. But go, Sarah!
Go, Sarah, yes.
She's already a winner in our eyes.
Thank you. The irony is my +1 is my mum, because I owe a lot to her for where I am today. And she just came and interrupted this broadcast, which is why I had to go off camera. That's how I live my life.
Brilliant.
Good work, Mum, in all regards. Now then, councils have been urged to ensure that charge points are fit for commercial vehicles. Paul, sit straight there. Local authorities are being urged to ensure new charge points are suitable for electric vans after the government pledged new funding for councils. The DfT announced it was expanding its local electric vehicle infrastructure, the Levy pilot, with 16 more councils receiving funding to deliver new charge points on Tuesday of this week. The Levy pilot scheme is aimed at delivering commercial electric vehicles charging infrastructure for residents from fast on-street charging points to large petrol-style charging hubs. Sam, wakey wakey. In total, 22 million of government funding for the pilot areas is supported by an additional 17 million of private sector investment and 2 million from public funds across local authorities. And that's great to see that much funding thing going on there with industry. You've got to be really excited about that, Paul. People recognizing now that vans do actually matter.
John, we've long known that vans matter. However, what has not been seen so clearly is the need for dedicated charging for commercial vehicles and vans in particular. And it is great news to see vans being accommodated in this way. And it seems like the most sensible way that councils can kind of get in there and do something pretty amazing for the van drivers of the UK, not least because they've got big targets to meet and their fleets are very heavily commercial.
And Sam, Denise Beadle from Logistics UK talked about the need for investment in heavy goods vehicle charging infrastructure as well, to give some certainty to people considering buying trucks, electric trucks. You'd agree with that, I assume?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm quietly optimistic about the news that you've just shared, John. Although quietly, not jumping up and down, because I think there's still a lot of work to do in terms of understanding really how commercial vehicles tally with the wider public. So, putting commercial vehicles and residential in the same sentence just shouldn't happen for a start, because that's not where vans should be. It's not where we want charging. So I'm quietly confident that hopefully they get it right, because getting it wrong is looking very short-sighted, say in the next year, is not going to help anybody. What's 5 or 10 years look like in terms of when commercial vehicles are fully electrified, and that's what matters. So my suspicion is the hubs actually shouldn't be where the councils think they should. I think they should be further out, and they should be in places that are accessible to people coming in and out. So I'm quietly optimistic. It's good news, but at the same time, I just hope they get it right and not do something that then have to be ripped up and rechanged in a few years' time.
Now then, Woman of the Year nominee Sarah Sloman, what have you to say on this matter?
I was just going to say about the time frame. I actually do think the councils will do a very good job, and there was some funding 2 years ago to start looking into it. So hopefully, with that lead-in, they'll get it right at the right time. But we literally cannot be without Osprey, Grid7, and others catering better for commercial vehicles at this time. Otherwise, they will be left behind. So it's all for one, and one for all.
And old woman of last year, Paul Kirby.
Well, I think it's just important to say that there needs to be a mix, because we're saying that fleets will rely on hubs and rapid charging. That's not the case. A lot of vans go home at night and they sleep in neighborhoods, and therefore we need to provide 7 kilowatt charging in and around local neighborhoods that is accessible, usable for van users. We shouldn't expect them to have to leave the van 2 miles away and scooter their way home or do whatever. So we need a mix, and I think it's good that councils are focused on that balance.
I just don't know how they're going to do it, Paul. That's the only thing. I just don't know how they're going to do it, because you have to have dedicated commercial van charging bays on streets, so that'll take away from residential parking. And I don't know how you can do both. It's just very difficult.
It is difficult. I don't dispute that, but I do think both need to be considered in some way, shape, or form.
I do love how Paul equates the van to some fluffy, cuddly thing that sleeps in neighbourhoods. Vans are squirrels. There we are. Anyway, research from ZapMap and Good Energy show that electric vehicles can be a gateway to a fully clean, energy-powered life, but the upfront costs for energy tech remains a barrier for many. An annual survey of over 4,000 EV drivers by the UK's go-to EV charging app, ZapMap, has revealed that 29% have solar panels installed at home, 7 times more than the 4.1 national average. The findings also revealed that more than 1 in 10 EV drivers also has a home battery to store electricity. That's interesting. Libby, a home battery storage facility, is available from our partners, My Energy. Tell Jordan Brompton that we sent you. That's really, really fascinating that 1 in 10 EV drivers has home battery storage, and it's not their EV. The high uptake of solar indicates that nearly a third of EV drivers are able to use the power of the sun to charge at home free, despite the recent increases to electricity prices by both energy suppliers and public EV charge point operators. EV drivers are also 20% more likely than average to have a smart meter. 72% of EV drivers having embraced this critical tech for flexible tariffs, keeping close track of the energy they use and what they share back to the grid, compared to a 50% average. 7% have heat pumps or ground source and air source heat pumps. That's quite incredible. So 7% as opposed to 1% for UK households. We're all getting smarter about our energy. JB, are you smarter about your energy?
Yeah, I'm looking at getting solar panels on my house and then the correct infrastructure to make sure that I match that solar yield when we have it. I think that was interesting, John, and I think it's simple for me, really. The demographic or average consumer for EVs also fall into the category of being really interested in this, especially what I saw from early adopters, interested from a tech point of view, an energy understanding, and likely because they could afford an EV, they can afford to go put solar panels on, especially if they've done the calculation, which most have, and looked at the payback. And especially now during the energy crisis, that payback's even shorter. So, but it would be good to understand the last couple of years. You'd think there'd be a spike only recently due to the energy crisis.
Bless you, Paul. And of course, the capital investment required for PV, photovoltaic panels, solar panels, is much, much less now. So that's reduced that payback period. Sam, I know you've done a DIY install of solar panels, I understand.
I did do, yes. So it was a logic of doing stuff on my side of the meter so that I was able to install things without needing to get any permissions, ultimately. So there's none of it, no energy is being exported anywhere. But
was it easy?
Yes, the install was easy. The app was less so. So it took me a while to get things connected. But the principle of it was effectively plug it into the house's mains. So the principle was one that meant that I could just not use utility energy from outside the grid rather than exporting it. So it took away a lot of the regulatory interventions. So it's a bit of a DIY job, but it works, yeah.
It looks like Sarah's moved into a sauna. Anyway, Swarco is in partnership to deliver second life for batteries. And this is a question we get asked a lot, Paul, isn't it, when we do training sessions for companies about second life for batteries. What happens when the battery dies? Well, Swarco Smart Charging and Connected Energy have joined forces to help accelerate the rollout of electric vehicle charging across the UK by integrating their hardware with an energy storage system, which is made entirely from second life EV batteries. This collaboration aims to overcome two of the biggest barriers to the wider take-up of EVs among organisations wanting to provide EV charging for their own EV fleet or provide public or private charging energy capacity, and the costly and lengthy DNO upgrades that this can entail. eStore, which is what the system's called, can be linked to renewable energy technologies such as PV panels, as we spoke about, allowing charging points to be powered by renewable energy, with the excess power generated from renewables stored until it's needed. The 24 second life EV batteries used within each eStore come from old Renault Kangoo vans. Interesting. So at present, Connected Energy's eStore unit delivers energy at a rate of up to 300 kilowatts and can, for example, simultaneously charge 20 cars for 2 hours at a rate of 7 kilowatts, or it can power two 50 kilowatt rapid chargers for almost 4 hours. Now, I know our figures man, Sam, is going to be frothing about the numbers and making sure that we get it all correct. Sam, are we all present and correct there?
Yeah, that looks good. I was just smiling at the Renault Kangoos. I used to own hundreds of them, so I hope that some of my old Renault Kangoo vans are the batteries that are going in here. They're probably not, but you know, it's a great principle. It's a great way of recycling. It's a great way to myth bust and demonstrate that these vehicles, these batteries have second and third lives. Third life being recycling back into the component parts that make more batteries. So yeah, good story.
Exactly. And I think I've often said, you know, we may get old, but we don't become useless. And batteries, the same is true. Paul and I, you know, we lead by example here. JCB. JCB have brought forward a hydrogen digger to the yard. The world's first JCB digger, powered by a hydrogen combustion engine, will soon be on UK roads and building sites, it has been announced. The news follows recent government approval of the technology under its vehicle special order rules and means that JCB can now test the backhoe loader. I kid you not, it's called a backhoe loader on the UK roads. JCB's prototype hydrogen-powered backhoe loader comes as the challenge of decarbonising the construction sector begins. Hydrogen combustion machines can play a vital role in reducing carbon emissions in settings where other types of clean power may not be the most practical or efficient, the firm said. Now then, I've got a bit of an issue with this, in that we know that there's a Caterpillar earth-moving vehicle in the States currently being tested. It's 88 tons of vehicle being moved by renewable energy and with battery storage rather than hydrogen. And this is going to be a two-horse race, I fear, isn't it, Paul?
Do you know what? It's really interesting because there's a company called Terberg that moved 90 tons of stuff all around the ports of the UK with electric vehicles. Because I was wondering, what about the torque ratios and because it'll all be around the conversions of being able to deliver the lifting power and the moving power. So not being an expert engineer, I would be really interested to get under the bonnet of the sort of engineering calculations that they're using with the types of torque adjustments that they need for moving that kind of stuff around in that kind of way. But for me, there's got to be an electric solution. I'm seeing it happen in the truck world, certainly. And they seem to be able to make it work. So I can't see why it couldn't work in that environment.
And Johnny, you're at the coalface of fleet work every minute of every day. How do you feel that there is this pull and push of hydrogen and EV? Are they technologies which complement each other, or have we got the old Betamax and VHS thing going on?
I'd probably echo some of what Paul's just said. And I'm not sure how I feel about the fact that hydrogen, in this case, is associated to my initials, Jonathan Charles Berry.
Charles!
I think what we know that works is battery electric vehicles, and those challenges that we think that potentially hydrogen could address, we could address through different means of electric delivery methods. So, whether that's AC, DC, tethered, socketed, pantograph, battery swapping, stuff like that. And we know it works. And I don't think we've got time to waste to keep looking at hydrogen or other alternatives. We haven't got that much time left to do something about it. And that's a little bit of what Sam says. It is all a positive move forward, don't get me wrong. But it's also very, very important to understand how the hydrogen was produced in the first place. And hopefully they are considering that. And hopefully it is all renewable, which again, is important part of the decarbonisation side. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what's clear is that change is coming in the construction sector, and that's very much embodied by our partners, EV Civil Solutions, who sponsor today, in that they're moving towards net zero civil engineering for charger installs, whole raft of civil engineering tasks. And if anybody's interested in net zero civil installations, then Craig at evcivilsolutions.co.uk, email him and tell him you're interested, because it's really important that we do have that whole network of collaboration to decarbonise construction and the wider business operations. Paul?
Well, I was just going to say, do you know what? It's very likely that EV Civils will be displaying an electric JCB digger in the not too distant future at events that might be coming up and happening over the coming months. So, it's very clear that there is a test and learn kind of attitude around whether it be hydrogen or whether it be electric in that same company, looking at different applications, different fuels. So let's see.
And presumably, Sam, as part of GridServe, you take into account the carbon that's created by suppliers for you as well. That's the
mute.
Best thing he's ever said.
Mute. He's on mute. He's on mute.
Who muted me? Who did it? Come on, that's up.
You.
Yeah, of course we do. We capture, we measure everything, and we're doing as much as we can in the construction side as well to try and mitigate any carbon creation when we're building out electric forecourts, etc. But very, very, we're very, very clear and in our energy consumption, whether we generate it ourselves through solar or we buy it in from renewable sources, it's green. To Johnny's point previously, we have to make sure that we that whatever we are selling to people is coming from renewable sources, and that's incredibly important. And so too must it always be in the world of hydrogen. It has to be renewably generated hydrogen, and preferably a little bit more efficient than you articulated the other day, John, where it clearly isn't. So we need to get, they need to keep getting better at it.
Yeah,
We'll
just keep banging on until people listen. If you've got any clean transport, PR, or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from them. It's goodbye from hopefully the Woman of the Year, Sarah Sloman. 8th of March. We'll find out, and trust me, you'll know about it. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week by the EV Civil Solutions, bringing the cleanest, greenest holes filled with passion and love. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just fun. The EV Cafe news is regulated by Big Stu, Interval, Sparky from My Energy, Tucker from the AA, installed by EV Civils, cleanly, of course, monitored by Geotab and insured by Churchill. Oh yes! We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to clean transport until next Friday. Bye-bye.
I think Sarah's falling off the mountainside.
I can't believe you talked over the outro, Johnny. Outrageous.